Hello, my name is John Moor and I'm the Managing Director of the IoT Security Foundation. I usually start by explaining that I see myself as an expired embedded systems engineer with my career formed whilst working in electronics and semiconductors. So as such, I used to travel to Taiwan on a regular basis to meet with our manufacturing partners, especially in Hsinchu. So I'd like to thank the organisers of the conference for the opportunity to be there again, albeit virtually. Most recently, that is for the past 7 years, I've been specialising in IoT security, and I aim to give you a view of how we can all rebuild trust in IoT right now and in a post-pandemic world. Here is the agenda for my talk. I'll give you some brief information about the IoT Security Foundation, or IoTSF, so you understand the position that I'm coming from. I will then attempt to set the scene and the context in which we are operating. I will get into the core of my talk and highlight 3 areas of how we can respond to the IoT security challenge. And finally, I'll sum up just to make sure you didn't miss any of the key messages. So, a quick introduction to IoTSF, who we are and what we do. We were established in 2015 with a mission to make it safe to connect by helping to secure the IoT. Our IoT security philosophy can be summed up in our 3 founding values: a security-first approach, fitness of purpose because context is king, and resilience throughout operating life. These values feature throughout our entire program. Hopefully you'll see them shine through as I go through my talk. We are self-funded and we are able to do what we do with a mixture of membership income, sponsorships and project funding. I'm also proud to say that the vast majority of our output is co-produced with our fantastic membership base. Now, this is a busy slide, but it's intended to give a sense of what's involved when we talk about IoT security. So here are some summary observations and questions I've witnessed in my time specialising in the space. First of all, when you look at the markets and applications for connected products and services, that's IoT, it's clear that there are huge opportunities for social and economic gains. They cover virtually every civil, commercial and industrial market I can think of. And indeed, it can be seen that the pandemic has accelerated our adoption of connected technologies in areas such as home working and remote healthcare, to name but 2. However, with all of that opportunity, there is risk. As security professionals, we tend to talk about attack surfaces. We want to keep those surfaces small. However, with IoT, it's expanding and rapidly. Our innovation opportunity is at odds with our security needs. On the slide, you will see 2 miniature versions of slides I have used in the past. The first is from a time before IoTSF existed. And at that time, there were major concerns with connected things such as traffic lights, baby monitors, routers, and insulin pumps. The second is from 2019, which shows the attacks keep on coming, and they will never stop. Hence, we must do something to protect ourselves, our customers, our society, and economies from attacks such as cryptojacking, ransomware, botnets, or even, and especially where IoT is concerned, a pivot attack that provides the entry point to a system. The triangle on the left of the slide illustrates the different motivations behind those attacks, and they range from simple curiosity, so someone saying, can I hack this, through criminal activity to something much more sinister, nation-state attacks. So we ask, who owns security in a world which transforms into digital? And it can be seen that we all have an important role to play, as we're all connected. It starts with the manufacturers, moves into installation and operation, and then us. With that quick backdrop, How can we go about building confidence and trust and assure the markets? I've got 3 examples from the IoTSF program for you. So to begin with, I would like to talk about a security-first approach and the IoT Security Assurance Framework. We originally announced the release 1.0 of the framework in December 2016. And since that time, it has evolved and successively gotten better. It started life as a simple checklist for consumer IoT products. However, we quickly realized the limitations of a pure checklist. Context is king, after all. And we also saw the opportunity for creating a more compelling resource that would have far greater practical application. So we created a framework, and in doing so, we made it both principle and risk-based and promoted it as a tool to help its users set and achieve their security goals. I'm delighted to tell you that we have just published release 3.0, and it is available direct from the IoTSF website. So, what is included in the framework? As mentioned, we have looked at the important controls and requirements that exist from design to manufacture, in operation and disposal. From the table of contents, you can see it corresponds to a number of different teams and covers business processes, identifying and setting goals for technical aspects, supply chain management considerations, and of course, usage, setup, usability, maintenance, and end of life. To satisfy the intent of the framework, users are taken through a 3-step process. First, it is crucial to understand the setting in which the product and the attached services will operate. This will inform you of the risks and the impact of successful attacks might have. This is the risk-based approach, and it's intended to help you provide security controls and features which are fit for purpose. Second, having determined the risk, we try and help you determine the security requirements that should be considered, either mandatory or advisory. And of course, we would always encourage you to do more than the bare minimum. And finally, we encourage you to document your decisions for a number of reasons. The first is so that you can provide evidence to support your security claims as and when needed. For example, if your customer wants reassurance and you have been thorough, or a revisit if a new vulnerability is discovered or a new application and context is being considered. It has also been aligned to some prominent standards from ETSI and NIST, but also advice from ENISA, the Cybersecurity Agency of Europe. In addition to the framework, which is available to everyone for free, we also provide some supporting tools for our members. Significantly, there is a supporting questionnaire which accompanies the framework. It is fundamentally a spreadsheet with some additional configuration controls to support the 3-step process I outlined just now. And to give you a glimpse of what it is, I've included a few slides. On this first slide, you can see that each of the requirement sections has been separated out and can be navigated from the contents page with hyperlinks. So if you were to click on the compliance class link, it would take you to a page which also helps you determine your compliance class. We've based this on a simple model in use of the confidentiality, integrity, availability triad. Whilst it's not perfect, it is good, and its strength is its simplicity of use. On this screen, the user is invited to select one of 3 desired levels: basic, medium, and high, for each of the model objectives. This then returns the associated compliance class as a minimum requirement, and this is then used to automatically set the requirements in each of the specific areas covered by the framework. As you can see along the bottom, each area is covered in a tab, which makes it easy to assign responsibility to different staff members or teams. Once inside the tab, you can see the specific requirements and how it relates to the standards we have mapped to date. We intend to add more of these in the future so that the framework truly helps users on their journey to whatever standard, regulation, or labeling scheme they require. There are additional fields that exist just off the screen, which users fill in to document supporting evidence too. Whilst we first published the framework in 2016, we did not start counting the amount of times it was downloaded until the second quarter of 2019. And as you can see, it has achieved over 7,000 downloads just up to September this year. It consistently has over 100 downloads every month, and that peaks when we announce new versions, like we've just done. We're delighted that industry is making good use of this expertise because it's embedded in the document, and we trust that you will too. And now to the second area of addressing the IoT security challenges. I'd like to introduce you to a collaborative project we are part of, which seeks to provision security at the gateway or router level. In effect, developing open standards for those routers and gateways. It is a project we call Many Secured, and at its heart is IoTSF, the University of Oxford, Cisco, and an AI company called Enquiring Minds. The gateway is a node in any IoT system that is of particular interest to us, as we can protect a local network and support legacy devices, but we can also look at new ways to collaborate by using the power of AI and the device crowd. We can link those to other gateways and cloud services. As a central node, the gateway is an ideal place to look at using IoT analytics, especially the smart flavor, which can automatically detect threats and trigger mitigations when they occur. And in order to do this, it requires at least two things. Number one, lots of input data to help benchmark our systems. And number two, lots of training data so we can learn what good and bad look like. We also recognize that this also represents a target for attack. Hence, anything that relies on the gateway will need to be as secure as possible in its own right. At the foundation level, we are creating a scheme to ensure that the gateway itself has strong security defenses. And on top of that, the advanced scheme will provide extra functionality to do things such as monitoring network traffic, managing allowable device behaviors, and also automatically fixing device vulnerabilities. Now, if any of what I have just said is of interest to you, then I'd like to invite you to join the Many Secured Special Interest Group, or SIG. We're looking to work with technical specialists, gateway and router manufacturers, and operators to help define the open technical specifications and build the AI collaborative network vision. It's free to join, and you can do that simply by going to the website or reaching out directly to my colleague, Duncan Purvis. And the final area I'd like to talk about is how we can further drive best practices internationally. So at the steering board level, we've been asking ourselves some important questions. First and foremost, how can we scale this effort? How do we remove our capacity limitations? Can we move faster? Can we have more impact? And that is, can we think globally but act locally? Can IoTSF go global? So earlier this year, we invited our international members to consider creating a chapter in their region. We wanted to do this to further drive the IoT mission, but we also wanted to have the simplicity principle. We wanted to minimize the management bureaucracy, both for our members and for us. And we wanted to concentrate our activities on IoT security awareness, best practice, education, and networking. We also firmly allow regional chapters to set their own agendas, their priorities, and event schedules. And of course, we invite them to suggest new working groups and produce publications. And we've created the scheme, and it's simple to do in three steps. You go to the IoTSF website, you look at the chapters, got guidance notes. You then need to get some associates together, apply, and then we will review the application, and then you can get going. So I'm delighted to tell you that we've moved quickly, and our first chapter was announced at our annual conference last month. Now, this is our very first chapter. We want more. We want many more. So if any of you, have interest in collaborating with a few partners and setting up an IoTSF chapter in Taiwan, then we'd very much like to hear from you. To find out more of what is involved, you may take a look at our website or contact me directly. And that's my talk for today. I hope that it was of interest to you, and I've convinced you that, number one, IoT security is a wicked challenge, but we can build trust by working collaboratively at all levels, especially in a post-pandemic world. Further, I hope you will engage with the IoT Security Foundation either through our materials, which you can download for free, or by participating in the Many Secured Special Interest Group, or perhaps even starting a chapter in Taiwan. I will leave you with a simple mantra. When it comes to the digital world, remember to build secure, buy secure, so that we can all be secure. Thank you.